it's all gone quiet, so we'll start. Good evening, welcome to the AJ Bell Stadium. Thank you all for coming. I think it's been an excellent night organised by the club and Dave Swanson, and a chance to speak to lots of different people here at the stadium, and the players themselves, and coaching staff, and whoever you want to speak to. And I know the Hugh Jenner stand's been very popular with people trying to find out what he does on a match day and what you watch. Just a brief kind of overview of what we're going to do, just to speak to Steve Diamond and the players for the next 20 minutes, and then there's a chance for yourselves to put your hand up. The microphone will be around the room. If you want to ask questions about what's going on, feel free to do so, and Pete will run around with the microphone and come over to you. So, if we start with Steve Diamond and get ourselves going. Steve, nice and simple, what have you made of the season so far?
Well, we've obviously started reasonably well. We sat down in the summer after the break and with the players and myself, and we did an honest review of where we were at after last year. You know, we had a disappointing first half and then picked it up in the second half of the year, and we set down some principles of what we were going to do around the place, how we do things around here, sort of thing, and we took that into the training of the pre-season, and then realised that we'd had a good pre-season, and a lot of sides do that themselves, but you know, we had an awakening at Cardiff. We beat Leeds easily at Hayward Road, and then went to Cardiff and we were flying 19-0 up, and we got our asses kicked in the second half. It was a real reality check for us, and we ended up going to Gloucester after a break and having a lot of belief about ourselves that if we did on a match day what we do in training to the same intensity, then we stand a chance, and we won that first game. And you know, since then we've done reasonably well. You know, we've played poorly in 2 games. I think the players and the coaching staff would agree, and that would be Newcastle and on Saturday for certain parts. The other game we lost was Northampton. We were beaten by a better side on the day. So overall, as a management team, we're reasonably pleased with where we are at the moment.
Without wanting to reflect on it too much, how do you look back on last season and kind of the difficulties you had moving to a new stadium and the director of rugby? Is it just considered a blip and let's move on? We've learned from what we're going to do, and we know what went wrong.
Yeah, well, I think, as you say, there's no point going over old ground, which we've talked about so many times. I think we evidently learned after Christmas, and we got our backsides into gear, and we continued that and started this season in the same vein. The competition's very, very, very difficult on the field, and we don't need to add extra hindrances behind the scenes, which we seem to do tenfold last year. So we've ironed that out. Off the field, I had the rugby and most of the club up, and we have clear, defined roles of what we do, and the coaches coach, and that's all they need to do. That's what they're good at, and the players, led under Dan, formerly by Dave Seymour, are all they need to do is turn up at training, do what we ask, have their input, and deliver on a game night. And so far, that sounds simplistic, but it's working.
Are you still enjoying the role? Obviously, you were back chief executive last year. You stepped back down. You're on the pitch. You're doing the hard yards on the training ground. Are you enjoying back doing that coaching?
Yeah, well, it's very easy for me because, you know, events like this, and when the TV are here, I seem to head it up. But there's a lot of hard work done through people. You know, not the same as Dan sat next to me. Dan looks after the playing squad with the senior players. Most of them are over here, but you know, the lads like Brian Redpath, Hugh Jenner, Adam Granger, Pete Anglesey, Mike Forshaw all play a really important part, right down to the chef, right down to Robbie and Alan, who've been here 50, 60 years looking after the changing rooms. So everybody has a part to play, everybody has the respect of everybody. And yeah, if you're working in an environment like that, especially when you win a few, then everybody enjoys going to work.
Just talk about this place for a second. It probably took quite a while to feel like home, to feel like Sale Sharp's home ground. Do you feel it's beginning to get there? I've noticed, certainly, the home games I've been this season, a real sort of increase in the volume of noise, and obviously that helps when you win it. But at the same time, it does feel more like Sale's place this now.
Yeah, I think the players are lucky, you know, and the corporate people who come are lucky because they don't have to sit in the traffic, you know. We think it's our home, you know. We managed to get a sponsor to sponsor the stadium. We've got MB&A who are great sponsors, and we've got a real loyal fan base, which, you know, has moved to 3 venues over the last 10 years. This hopefully being our last place, and you know, it'll be more of a home if we could get the infrastructure of the place right, and we're working always with the management company of the stadium to sort that out. And the players feel that when they see the queue on the motorway on game nights, you know, and say we work in, it's your opportunity tonight to ask those questions to those various people out here. But it does feel like home. And certainly Dan, who's never played anywhere else, and Pato, who's sat over there, you know, they think it's a fantastic facility, and we do. The pitch is great, the noise reverberates around the place, so everything's good. And you know, there's no excuses from us. If we can keep the team highly competitive, especially at home, then more people will come. You know, it will be habit forming, and you know, I can only say over the next 12 months that the road system will be improved with a new bridge going in, etc., etc. But again, that's out of our hands. What we want to concentrate on is being highly competitive at home and repaying the loyal support that we get from these people in the room.
I remember when you took the role of Chief Executive, you talked about Sale being the Northern Super Club. That was the vision, and obviously, again, not dwelling on last year about it being a blip, but how far away do you think, sort of down the line, the challenging the Leicesters, the Saracens of this world, and the Northamptons, do you think it has to be a gradual year-by-year thing? You can't just, you know, go out and spend money sort of in the Sant-Andre days where you just go in and bring lots of players. It has to be step by step, and I know you've spoken a lot as well about getting this local core, and the English lads now are coming through.
Yeah, well, you just look at our front rowers who are knocking around, and you know the Jets that played and beat Leicester on Monday night. There's a plethora of players coming through who want to play for the club, and a lot of them are northwest based. You know, Tommy Taylor, Ross Harrison are two that I could mention. Henry's been with us for 3 years, where he's a back lad, but you know he's a adopted northerner now. When I used the term the year before last, super club. We live in a massive region, very similar to where Exeter are. You know, a huge region, there's one club, and we have a very similar situation. And for those who, I'm probably preaching to the converted, you know, there's an equality about the league. There's 3 or 4 sides, which we can't really mention publicly, who don't stick to the salary caps, but we do. And most of the clubs that stick to the salary caps are in a very competitive bunch in the league, and if you look at it, there's about 6 teams on 13 points, and there's 1 or 2 teams that are up there on 23, and you don't need to be a mathematical genius to work out who's sticking to the salary cap. If everybody plays by the rules, then I think we could be a force to be reckoned with the area that we have at our exposure, with Leeds being predominantly a rugby league side. We have all of Lancashire, Cheshire, West Yorkshire, Cumbria, you know, and we know the players that have played for the club historically come from that region. So I truly believe, and I wouldn't be here doing the job, that we could be a real force to be reckoned with. And I think, to be fair to the players and the club in the last 6-8 months since January turn, we've proven that at home, and that's all we need to do. Let the rugby do the talking. Keep me off the back page, Danny off the front page. He's asked me 3 times not to use that. But no, you know, everybody's bought into it. We've just announced, or just about to announce, that we're going to be employing 10 new staff in the community working throughout the region, which MB&A, a great sponsor of ours, are going to be the benefactor of that over the next 3 years. So it's going to be £1 million sponsorship deal into the community. So we understand that to keep the club running on a fair basis in the league, we need to produce our own goods, and we need to do the hard work. The club needs to get into the community, get into the schools, and produce not only players but people who want to come and support a local team. And you know, look at the league on a Saturday night when you've won, lost or draw. It says Sale Sharks. You know, to everybody, we're a small town in the north, and you know we use that to our advantage in the changing room.